Call of Duty has become a legendary franchise. The perfect game for people who need to waste a lot of time and be mentally distracted. Military personnel stationed in the middle of deserts. Private military contractors sitting in hotel rooms waiting for the order to go. Convalescent hospital patients. Prison inmates. The unemployed. The criminally insane. Or some combination of the above. It's a game designed to obsessively occupy your mind and burn away your spare time. Now, yet another sequel is finally here and being greeted with much applause from player and reviewer alike. But is everything really quite as perfect as it seems? Welcome to COD Blops 4, Smoke and fucking Mirrors. Call of Duty is truly one of the most prolific and promiscuous franchises of the gaming world, stroking out 15 games in 15 years. 2018's offering marks a significant departure from its legacy because it strikingly has no single-player campaign. It does, however, come with the usual multiplayer PvP, a brand new Battle Royale mode, and a Cthulhu-esque evolution of the zombie mode. As a substitute for the single-player campaign, we get a selection of micro-missions, which allow the player to fully explore the extensive tedium and minute biographies of the specialists. I tried to complete the mission for Ajax, by the way, but his ballistic shield was bugged. It wouldn't deploy, so I said fuck this and jumped straight into multiplayer. Before reviewing this game, I should let you know right now that I am not an expert on the Call of Duty franchise, and I am primarily reviewing this game for non-Call of Duty players, because Call of Duty players already bought it. I have played 4 different Call of Duty games over the years, and only on PC. I am also professionally shite at it. For my first 50 matches in Black Ops 4, I was flat out lowest score on both teams every fucking time. I'm so bad at Twitch reflex shooters that if I played this in an internet cafe, a circle of people would form around me, taking selfies and laughing and encouraging their mates to come over and chuckle at the idiot. I'm glad we got that out of the way. Despite being shit at it, periodically over the years I have secretly enjoyed it. Call of Duty is a bit like pornography. I pretend I don't like it, I pretend I don't indulge in it, but secretly, when nobody is about, I have got a lot of guilty pleasure from it. The only difference is that I'm very bad at Call of Duty, but my pornography skills are fucking excellent. The general narrative amongst most reviews within the first 72 hours of release seemed to be this. Even though it doesn't have a single player campaign, it's still actually quite good. And for the first 72 hours, I would have said exactly the same thing. But now the dust has settled, I'm starting to realise that the situation is more complicated than that. It's addictive, so it tricks you into thinking it's good. It's obsessive, so it tricks you into thinking you like it. It's got lots of multiplayer modes, so it tricks you into thinking it's value for money. But Black Ops 4 is essentially a masterclass in smoke and mirrors. It's a AAA title that couldn't even be asked with the effort of a single player campaign, that ripped off PUBG, threw in some zombies, asset flipped some maps, and for some reason we're all clapping like excited monkeys and then throwing $100 at the screen. So is it a bad game? Well, as the slut said to the love-struck Boy Scout, it's complicated. So let's take a quick look at a brief history of nearly everything Call of Duty. Call of Duty was originally started as an idea developed as a secret military project under the auspices of the now famous CIA covert ops program Project MK MK itself was a top-secret military experimentation program designed to investigate and develop mind control techniques. It all initially seemed like a super exciting lol. Scientists working on MK would try out things like giving a little LSD to people and maybe some light hypnosis. Unfortunately, with such a huge budget and a total lack of oversight, MK quickly degenerated into a full-blown fucking orgy of secret mass drugging, brainwashing, torture and terrorising and abusing young children, all in the name of science. Even when compared to the modern practices of loot crates and pedo caches, their conduct was appalling. Well, slightly more appalling at least. Well, maybe not quite as abusive and predatory as EA, but you get the general picture. This might sound crazy, but slipping acid into people's drinks and randomly kidnapping and torturing people was considered fairly normal behaviour for the CIA during this period. Let's not forget, around this time the CIA was regularly doing shit like trying to train telepaths to spy on Russia, attempting to create telekinetic super assassins, and paying scientists to investigate whether they could weaponise dolphins by wanking them off. No, really, one of the researchers fell in love with one of the dolphins and had sex with it in a swimming pool. During the darkest period of Project MK the US Army decided it wanted to advance its super soldier program by developing a covert method for turning benign, friendly and well-adjusted teenagers into aggressive, toxic, vicious psychopaths. The traditional methods of doing this were proving too expensive, and it was simply too impractical to send hundreds of thousands of kids to Harvard Business School. They needed something more cost-effective. The goal quickly became to develop an innocent-looking game that could be placed in any American home, which would quickly change the psychological profile of the teenagers in the house after only a few hundred hours of exposure. Whilst the theory was sound, unfortunately the technology at the time was not up to the task. The project was shelved until many years later, during a government auction, Activision snapped up the patents to Project Call of Duty, and the rest, as they say, is history. Call of Duty rapidly evolved into what we know and love today, the definitive twitch reflex first-person shooter expertly designed to eat all of your time and make you shit it out as rage and frustration. The 15th episode of the series, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, hit the street on October 12, 2018, and has received glowing reviews. So it must be good, right? Because it's totally impossible that any of the reviewers got paid off to make positive reviews. No sir, that never happens. This said, the user reviews seem to be very positive as well. So it can't be totally shit. So let's talk about the gameplay itself. Well, it's fairly standard fare really. Like a pair of well-worn comfortable shoes. In every sense. I mean, even the Blackout mode is well-worn if you've played PUBG or Fortnite. I've only owned a few Call of Duty titles and I recognised a bunch of the maps. There are very, very few weapons in the game at the moment. A million fucking skins and plenty of attachments. But off the top of my head, there are 5 assault rifles, 5 SMGs, 4 LMGs, 4 sniper rifles, 3 MDRs, 2 shotguns and 3 pistols and 1 rocket launcher, which I painted pink. The guns are very nicely done and are a pleasure to use. The feedback is excellent and the audio is well executed. It's just a shame there are so fucking few to choose from. I wondered whether they decided to have less weapons so they could have more weapon balancing. But yeah, we all know that's bullshit. They were just a bit lazy with the guns because, you know, why have 10 assault rifles when you can have 5 for half the price? The complexity, and I'm being very generous with the use of the word there, comes from the fact that your character's performance is essentially a combination of 3 tiers of choices. Your weapons and how you mod them, your character perks and skills, the specialist you choose, Entering into each match, and every time you spawn, you can choose or change your specialist. Each specialist comes with a specialist weapon and a specialist skill. Basically an ability on short cooldown and an ultimate ability or super on long cooldown. The cooldown timer filling up over time and speeding up with activity. Examples of these abilities would be barbed wire and a microwave shield, a mini grenade and a grenade launcher, and some other shit that requires skill to use properly, which I naturally never bother with, for obvious reasons. It's actually a fairly nice idea, but once you take a step back, squint your eyes and forget about the flash graphics and the character animation, all it really is an option to select from a choice of supers and skills. You can't double up on the same specialist, so it avoids having a team with 6 dudes spamming stun grenades, but it's also first come first served, so if your rig is slow to load up, you will always be getting last dibs. Personally, I am a skillless, shameless camping fuckboy with no ego invested in this game, so I'm happy that nobody picks Torque because he's always free for me, and he has a camping toolkit at his disposal. Does it get me a high score? Does it fuck? But the sound of good players dying on my barbed wire traps helps me sleep peacefully at night. The in-game progression is the typical addictive Skinner psychology masterclass that we should expect from Call of Duty, and it goes something like this. You grind to unlock a gun, then you grind to unlock the first weapon attachment for that gun, then you grind to unlock the next attachment, then you do this again, then again, over and fucking over, and when you finally unlock all the attachments you realise you've levelled up and unlocked a new gun, so you grind the game to unlock the first weapon attachment for that gun. Rinse and fucking repeat until you are max level and you've unlocked everything. Then you sit there in silence for a few minutes, contemplating the fact that you no longer have any purpose in your life. So you click Prestige, wipe all of your hard-earned progress, and start the whole process all over again from the fucking beginning. And you can do this up to 10 times. And at some point, whilst you're running on this ever-spinning hamster wheel, they release the next Call of Duty title. You stop, cry a little on the inside, and begin the entire process again on the next fucking Call of Duty title. At some point during this process, you just fucking might, pause for a second because you're exhausted, frustrated and hungry. You'll scratch your head and think, why the fuck did I just waste my time doing that for fuck's sake? Welcome to the game loop of Call of Duty. It is crude, unsophisticated, unending and soulless, but it works, and it's a tried and tested formula. I've heard it said that Black Ops 4 is slower paced and has a longer time to kill. Well, if this is true, we are talking milliseconds. If you don't play Twitch reflex shooters, then I'll just put it this way. Everyone jumps into the air like a fucking flea the second you point your gun at them, and if you stand still, without jiggling around for more than 3 seconds, you will be classified as a camper. Concepts like slow and fast are very relative terms in the Call of Duty universe. It's like watching fleas jump off a dog and being asked which flea jumps fastest. All fleas operate in a realm beyond the limitation of my senses and reflexes to comprehend and perceive them, as do most Call of Duty players. The gameplay is sexy looking and nicely executed, but ultimately a few veteran FPS experts have slagged off Black Ops 4 and described it as a dumbed down, simplified shooter designed to appease noobs and casuals. It's a non-tactical shooting experience where every map is a 3-corridor fuckfest. It's like the Battle of the Somme, where the trenches have been turned sideways. Some claim that Black Ops 4 has been tailored for shitheads and fucking morons that can't learn a map or be bothered to develop skills and counters. Well, I'm enjoying it, so they probably have a fucking point. The score streaks are still in the game. They are relatively benign now, as the matches are over in a flash, There's small teams on a small map with a short timer. I've had a few matches totally dominated by score streaks, but for the most part, it's all over long before someone is chaining strike teams and gunships on your sorry arse. Then there is the controversial issue of anti-cheat. Unless someone is blatantly lag switching or aimbotting like a crack fiend, it's almost impossible to tell. And here is the thing. I think that not only is the game so defective that it's impossible to tell, I think the game is designed in a way for it to be impossible to tell what was cheating, what was lag, what is predictive skill, and what was a game mechanic. I also don't believe this is accidental. Virtually every stealth perk can be countered, so that there is no way you can ever say, that dude had no way to tell that I was there when he killed me. There are plenty of times when you run around a corner and just drop dead. Then the kill cam shows some dude pre-targeting you and drilling you dead before you can even see him on your screen. They may be experienced players who know the rat runs and guessed you were coming, approaching around the corner pre-aiming and pre-firing just in case. It might be hacks. You may be flagged on his minimap. It might be the shitty lag fuck 20 Hz servers built by monkeys and powered by fucking hamsters. Chances are that in any given situation it was a combination of more than one single factor. This being said, I've seen some kill cam playbacks that were as shady as all fuck. You know the drill. That guy who you've shot in the back many times but only ever loses about 10% of his health, instantly jumps up, spins around, drops you with a burst of laser precise headshots from mid-air. Then the play of the match at the end shows him tanking 5 guys like our fucking Terminator, killing them all with headshots whilst bouncing around like a fucking rubber ball. I'm shit at this game, so what do I know? I'll take my cue from the fact that the rest of the match are calling him a bitch for cheating, including his own teammates. That and the fact that I have a fucking calculator on my desk, and the last time I checked, 10 rounds in the back from a pimped out VKM light machine gun does not result in having 90% of your health left, and enough time to eat a fucking sandwich, turn around, kill me, and the other 3 guys standing around me. Putting aside the issues of anti-cheat, there are also issues with the game mechanics, reliability of positioning, and how crappy and misleading the in-game audio cues are. I strongly recommend you watch the video by RennsReviews where he discusses the failings of the game's systems, especially the part about how audio cues are incorrect and that there is no vertical audio in the game. I've stuck a link in the description. The main takeaway from this is that if you play this game, be very philosophical about losing encounters with people. Given the shitty servers, bad environmental cues, fucky perks and overall lag mechanics, the position of the enemies on your screen should be considered, at best, approximate. In Treyarch's defence, they're constantly patching and adjusting the game. They nerfed a perk to make Blackout more fair, they will be buffing some score streaks and rebalancing weapons. I've also heard it rumoured that they're about to increase the utterly shitty 20 Hz servers to just moderately shitty 30 Hz servers. So things might improve, as long as they're just not tweaking weapons and fluffing us off. No discussion of Call of Duty would be complete without at least mentioning the chat. The in-game chat during the matches was frankly fucking obnoxious, and I think it let down the game, let down the players, and let down the Call of Duty community as a whole, as in shithole. Sometimes I would play for whole days without a single person being toxic or offensive. I barely received any insults and no death threats, despite having the lowest score in most matches. I think when a video game franchise has established a long and illustrious reputation for reliably delivering certain things, it's important that they keep that bar set high. Black Ops 4 failed miserably. I would suggest that if the situation doesn't improve, that they introduce bots to randomly insert vile and toxic abuse into game chat every 45 seconds or so. You know, stuff like, I fucked your mum, or I fucked your dad. Maybe crank it up occasionally to, I fucked your mum whilst your dad fucked my dog. I don't really know a definitive solution, but something has to be done, because the current situation is disappointing. If I see one more guy on the enemy team say GG in chat when we win, I'm probably going to rage quit. I remember the good old days, when chat would be full of long drawn out insults about family illness, incest, and people violently penetrating your mum's anus. I miss those days. So let's talk about graphics. Black Ops has graphics. Nothing very revolutionary, original or award-winning, but it definitely has some. All the specialists have that artificially chunky look, like they took steroids for 5 years whilst eating cheeseburgers, then covered themselves in bubble wrap before putting their armour on. It's all a bit cartoony, but in an inoffensive way. Watch the trailer and you basically know what the graphics look like, only mentally reduce the quality by 75%, and that's what it will look like in-game. Not that it matters a fuck, because after about 3 matches you'll be dialing your graphics settings back to the absolute fucking minimum to increase performance on your PC. Because if you don't, you're just going to be watching a lot of very depressing kill cams. So let's discuss some of the technical boddery of the game. I should state now that I am playing on a slightly above average gaming PC. If you don't look too closely, this game seems to run very well. A lot of the technical issues only manifest when you've played long enough to spot the anomalies. I have some odd stuttering when I first fired up the game. One of the tutorials wouldn't let me deploy my shield, so I couldn't complete it. Worth noting that whilst this game runs like a peach on fairly average systems, any issues with your internet or specs will manifest themselves in latency and performance issues when fighting other players. i.e., with a shit PC or internet, the game may well look great, but you will lose trades all the time because the other dude will have the drop on you because of processor or latency lag differences. After one mini patch, we all kept getting bombed out of matches and losing progress. Just when I thought it was fixed in a patch, it started doing it again, only slightly differently. I've had issues with models reloading very late in the loading screen, so my team looks like a bunch of fucking ninjas all dressed in black. But overall the game runs superficially well, and looks very well polished at launch. The servers, however, are a giant bag of fuck. Correction, dishonest bag of fuck. The beta was run on 60Hz servers. Then everyone bought this game, and at launch they were downgraded to 20Hz servers. This was done covertly and exposed by people like Battle Nonsense. I put a link down in the description. He's a techno-nerd science beast who makes YouTube videos about science facts. What can I say? Activision lied. They got caught. They were not very forthcoming about it either. Now they say they're going to try and fix it. Well, here's a fucking suggestion. How about not being dishonest, lying fucks in the first place? Just a suggestion. In this age of microtransactional fuckery, bait and switch and paywalled content, in this post-Star Wars Battlefront 2 epoch that we live in, I don't think you can really review a game properly without at least dedicating some time to analysing the financials of a game. There was fury when it was announced that all DLC will be locked into a single season pass. I don't know whether this has or will be reversed, but even putting this aside, any claim that this is a $60 game is bullshit. The industry is always banging on that they need microtransactions because they can't stay profitable just selling games for $60. Well, in truth, this is a $100 game, which cheaped out on single player campaign. But you will still need to buy the game and the season pass to enjoy all the PvP content. And that's fucking expensive. There are no microtransactions at launch. Only one small cosmetic £4 DLC pack is out. But the proceeds go to charity. I guess this is to psychologically warm people up to the idea of making in-game purchases. There is, however, in-game currency in place already, and some comes with the pre-orders. This means one thing. They have postponed the full horror of the microtransactional avalanche until after the game has bedded in, so as to avoid impacting sales at launch. This is probably going to be the new industry standard practice with games with microtransactions. Launch the game without microtransactions, wait until everyone has spent their money, then roll them out quietly and incrementally in the night when nobody is looking. Look, there is in-game currency, therefore the pedo caches cometh. So what are my tips to being better at Call of Duty Black Ops 4? Well, accept failure. Accept that in some matches you will get prison raped. Take Adderall. Accept the fact that you will struggle to do well if you are very old and slow. And old in Call of Duty means older than 15. If you can, try and magically give yourself the reflexes of a hyperactive teenager. Take into consideration that age is a relative concept. Call of Duty years are like hamster years. By the time you hit 15, you're over the hill. By 18, you're geriatric. And by 21, you are positively ancient. Like a fossil. Seriously though, work to find out what combination of playstyle, weapon, class and score streaks work for you, and then play to those strengths. Failing that, make sure you watch a few tips and tricks videos which will tell you about the useful perks like dead silence and lightweight, and skills like aiming down sights when you go around corners. I came up with a system that kept me from being lowest score in every match. It's important that you identify your strengths and play to those strengths. My strength is being very, very terrible at Call of Duty. So I capitalised on that. I chose all the lowest instant deploy score streaks, equipped the most powerful gun I could find, grabbed a big, fat rocket launcher and used it like a fucking shotgun. And played as the specialist Torque so I could camp behind barbed wire fences and microwave shields. I just ran around noob tubing people with the rocket launcher and put barbed wire traps at the bottom of stairs. Dignified? No. But it's a fuck sight more dignified than having the lowest score in every match. A testament to the profound level of psychological manipulation in this game is this. I felt compelled to keep playing to unlock pointless shit because I wanted to, not because I felt I had to. I wanted to fucking hate this game when I bought it for review. Now my review is late because I keep logging in to unlock a specific weapon. I keep lying to myself and claiming I'm getting more in-game footage for the video. But really, I'm just trying to unlock the last assault rifle because I'm annoyingly fucking addicted. The only problem is that when I finally stop, I always curse myself and ask myself why I wasted that time playing. I didn't learn anything new, I didn't experience anything new, the game did not take me on a narrative journey. I was just like a rat, completing a maze in order to get a chocolate treat as a reward. If Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was a movie, the movie would be The Human Centipede. That's a low-rent horror movie about a mad scientist who sews a bunch of people together arse to mouth. The thing is, whilst it's fairly derivative, not very entertaining, slightly disgusting and having only one original concept, you just feel compelled to watch it, to see what happens at the end. But even though you can't resist watching it, once it's over, you realise you probably wasted your time and money. You could have just asked someone what it was like and done something more productive with your time instead. So what do I think of Black Ops 4 as a AAA title coming in at the most expensive price bracket? Well, that's complicated. It's brilliantly designed to receive a good reception at launch. In fact, it's almost like they designed a game to exploit the game review launch window process. It looks good, it's fast, it's got a Call of Duty Battle Royale mode called Blackout with Call of Duty Zombies, and everyone loves Battle Royale and zombies, right? It's launched without the microtransactions to avoid a backlash at launch, with most people fighting to get their review out either before launch or a few days after at the latest. Everyone will barely have touched it by the time they bang out their reviews. 75% of the launch sales will be completed before people scratch their heads and say, is this it? The problems with Black Ops 4 are only surfacing now a few weeks after launch. The game is actually fairly shallow. The 20Hz bait and switch with the servers is fucking appalling conduct. The game itself is a simplistic run and gun blast down first person shooter. At best, Black Ops 4 is a hyper addictive formula shooter that is both overpriced and concealed its biggest flaws. The bait and switch on the server quality, asset flipped content, defective game mechanics, and the yet to be revealed microtransactions. At its worst, Black Ops 4 may turn out to be like buying a second-hand car from a dodgy car salesman. You are all idiot smiles and false smugness as you drive away in your shiny new fuckwagon. But 50 miles later, you realise the car is all paint wax, polish and tyre paint, the engine starts to smoke, and you notice that under the bonnet, it's used parts held together with gaffer tape and epoxy. Is it a good game? Definitely not. Half the game belongs to a fucking PUBG. Is it value for money? Fuck no. An £80 Call of Duty episode with no single player? Fuck that. Is it fun? Absolutely. Shooting someone in the fucking head with a giant pink rocket launcher never gets old. But for now, good luck and happy hunting.